Welcome to Falcon Physician Review's Neurology Lecture Series, review for USMLE Step 1. The next module will cover the autonomic nerve. The autonomic nervous system is responsible for innervating smooth muscles, glands, and the heart. This is comprised of the sympathetic nervous system, and in both systems, the preganglionic neuron is in the central nervous system. In both systems, the postganglionic. Here's where the differences start to come out. The sympathetic nervous system is also thought of as the flight or fight system. This speeds up the heart, diverts blood flow to activate muscles, dilates the bronchi to allow for more air. The GI system, it will constrict sphincters and relax walls. The bladder, it will constrict the sphincter and relax the wall. It will dilate the pupils. It causes diaphoresis or sweating. Where are the cells located in the sympathetic nervous system? Well, the preganglionic neurons are located within the intermediolateral cell column of the spinal cord, and this is present in the spinal cord from T1 to L2. Here it is pointed out. What happens next? Well, the processes of the preganglionic sympathetic neuron will exit via the ventral horn, via the ventral root of the spinal cord, and it will enter the sympathetic chain via the white ramus. Also, there is an option for bypassing and going to the superior cervical ganglion or prevertebral ganglia via the splanchnic nerves. And splanchnic nerve refers to any nerve that postganglionic neuron may be in the sympathetic chain or in one of the other ganglia that we just talked about. At that point, if it exits the sympathetic chain, it will exit via the gray ramus. And then now let's talk about the parasympathetic nervous system. What does it do? Well, this is also thought of as the rest and digest system. So its function is to slow the heart, constrict the bronchioles, relax the sphincters, and constrict the walls. In the bladder, it will relax the sphincter and contract the walls. In the eye, it will constrict pupils via the circular muscle of the iris, and it will contract. Let's talk about where these cells are located. For the parasympathetic system, the preganglionic neuron is located either in the cranial or the sacral region of the central nervous system. So in the cranial portion, it's found in the brainstem, located near the areas of cranial nerves 3, 7, 9, and 10. So remember that one of the important ones for pupillary dilation is Edinger-Westphal that travels along with cranial nerve 3. 7 and 9, salivary and parotid glands. And 10 has the dorsal motor nucleus of the vagus, which will send along parasympathetic fibers with the vagus nerve. There are also preganglionic parasympathetic neurons sitting in the sacral cord from S2 to S4. These fibers will travel along with pelvic splanchnics to go innervate the genitalia. At that point, it will synapse with the postganglionic neuron in the ganglion that is usually at or very near the tissue that is to be innervated. So this is one of the differences between between the parasympathetic system and the sympathetic system. The sympathetic system may have its postganglionic neuron travel quite a distance to reach its target tissue, whereas the parasympathetic system usually has a postganglionic neuron that is very short. You'll see this in some of the reflexes that we're about to cover. Let's talk about just where these are located. You may refer to the sympathetic system as the thoracolumbar system, because that's where the preganglionic neuron is located from T1 to L3. You may also think of the parasympathetic system as the craniosacral system, because the preganglionic neurons are located in the cranial region of the central nervous system or in the sacral region. So as we mentioned, the parasympathetic system has fibers that travel along with 3, 7, 9, and 10. Where do those synapse? For cranial nerve 3, it will synapse in the ciliary ganglion, right, to allow dilation of the pupil. 7 will synapse in the pterygopalatine ganglion to innervate the lacrimal and nasal glands, and in the submandibular ganglion to innervate the submandibular and sublingual glands. Cranial nerve 9, parasympathetic fibers that travel along with cranial nerve. What are the neurotransmitters that are used for these two autonomic systems? For both, the systems use acetylcholine for both preganglionic neurons. So the sympathetic system will use acetylcholine, and the parasympathetic system will use acetylcholine. For the postganglionic neuron, this is where the two systems differ. The sympathetic system will use norepinephrine, whereas the parasympathetic system will use acetylcholine. Let's look at some important autonomic nervous system reflexes. These are something that are certainly, this next one is tested every day when you're doing your exam and you're looking at the pupillary reflex to light. So let's look at the direct and consensual light reflex. Information from the light that is processed by the retina, rods and cones, travels up through the retina to the retinal ganglion cells, which will create the optic nerve. So the axons of the retinal ganglion cells create the optic nerve. The optic nerve will travel back to synapse in the pretectal nucleus. This is located just in front of the roof of the midbrain, or right in front of the four colliculi. After that synapse, information goes bilaterally to the two Edinger-Westphal nuclei. Output from Edinger-Westphal will travel along with the oculomotor nerve, and then the information will travel to the ciliary ganglion, where a synapse will occur, and the muscle or the output will constrict the pupil there. I may have misspoke previously about the dilation of the eye. I was thinking of constriction. The parasympathetic system will constrict the pupil, and loss of parasympathetic output will actually dilate the pupil. Let's talk about the baroreflex. Baroreflex is the way that your body responds to increased blood pressure, and it can also be set off by actual direct manual stimulation of the carotid bulb. That is at the junction of the internal and the external carotid arteries. So this is the carotid sinus that notes the increase in blood pressure. Then information travels back to the brainstem via the glossopharyngeal nerve. Glossopharyngeal will have its input into the nucleus solitarius of the brainstem, and down in the upper medulla. At that point, information is passed to the dorsal motor nucleus of the vagus, and then it travels all the way down to the heart itself, where the postganglionic neuron is found within the wall of the heart in the cardiac ganglia. And this will dump out acetylcholine into the heart muscle, which will decrease the heart rate and force the contraction. This concludes